Good morning, everyone. So today is Memorial Day, Monday, Memorial Day in the States. And I have kind of been missing in action for the last week and a half. And originally I wasn't going to do a video on this because it just spanned over a lot of time, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do a video without crying all the way through it. So I think I have solved that problem now, and I am ready to share what happened. So I'm going to start back a week and a half ago on a Thursday, and you know how I do these winding videos. I'm going to talk kind of fast because I want to make sure that I get all of this in, and I'm going to start at the beginning and work my way to yesterday and go from there. So here I go. Okay, so it started out a week ago last Thursday. I went into meditation, and I started out meditating with my grandpa Stone. And halfway through that meditation, Nipsey HUSSLE morphed into the meditation. Now, mind you, I had never heard of Nipsey HUSSLE until about, well, when he died, 2 months ago when he died. And then he started showing up in my feed. So I knew who he was. I knew very little about him other than it appeared that he was a pretty decent guy, and there were a lot of people that were mourning his loss. So he comes into my meditation, and I start talking to him, and I'm like, you know, it seems like you were a pretty good guy, and I'm really sorry about what happened. And he's like, yeah, we decided that I could do a lot more good over on this side than I could down there. He's like, look how many people know about me now versus who knew about me before, like you, for instance. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so we continued talking, and I asked him about my divine masculine and his journey, and I have started getting smarter in these meditations, and when they are like really far out there, I have started asking for confirmation. So this was no different. So in this particular one, I remember asking him, like, so how do you stay so slim or stay so skinny or something like that? And he goes, I'm a picky eater. And that was kind of all that it was said. And then I also said, you know, I was like, so how do I know this is true? And I'm not just making this up. And he goes, my confirmation would be that I would hear his music sometime in the next day or two. And I'm like, okay, so that was kind of the end of that whole meditation. And I'm also thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to hear Nipsey Hussle's music in the next day or two unless I look it up specifically. And that doesn't count for a confirmation. So I kind of went about my day, and I went for a walk, and one of my favorite readers that I watch is Guided by Angels, and she was talking about jealousy and how that was something that she had to deal with. And I'm on this walk, and I'm kind of talking to my guides, and they have encouraged me to look at my divine masculine social media, which I don't do on purpose, because in the past when I have done that, I've seen something that hurt my feelings or something. So I have just stayed clear away from that. And if anybody ever wants to know anything about him, I will not pull him up. And I'm like, you go find him yourself. I'm like, and don't tell me what he's doing. But this day I was highly encouraged to stop running from that. And it was like they were saying, you need to deal with this, because you're running from it, and there's something that needs to be healed. So you need to deal with this, and you need to go look at his profile. And I mean, I was like kind of freaking out when I was instructed to do that, because I was like, no, I know what's going to happen, and I'm going to end up spending 3 or 4 hours crying on the couch. And they were like, we've got your back. You've got all kinds of tools in order to heal through this. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay. So I came home from my walk, and I specifically look at his Instagram and Facebook. And fortunately, I was not triggered. What I saw was someone that I didn't even know or recognize. It was like I looked at him, and I just looked at him, and I was like, I don't even know him. I didn't have any feelings about who he was. It was just like he was a stranger. It was like looking at a stranger's social media and this empty look in his eyes and sadness that I could see and feel through that. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, that didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to, but whatever. But there was one thing on there that I could not overlook, and that was something that he misspelled on a picture that he had done. And I was thinking, you know, I'm like, oh my God, if I spelled something blatantly wrong like that, I would hope to God somebody would fucking tell me. And this had been like 5 or 6 days out since he had posted that, and nobody had corrected his spelling. And so that was all on Thursday. And then I got up on Friday morning, and I was kind of, you know, in a tiff, I guess, about, you know, kind of like feeling like, you know, I had no feelings all of a sudden about him. And so I went into meditation, and the meditation kind of came out. It was like going, you know, bottom line is that I don't trust the universe and this journey and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, whatever. So I decide that, this was a week ago Friday, I decide I'm going to text him with no expectations and make a comment. I'm like, you know, if you ever wonder who has your back, it's those who tell you that it's SALMON, not SAMON. He's a smart guy. I know he's a smart guy. I wouldn't be hanging around with him if he wasn't a smart guy. So for him to misspell that maybe was an offense to me more than to him. I don't know, whatever the case was. I sent him a lighthearted message about that, about, you know, people that having his back. My friend Claudine corrected my spelling one time. I would hope to God somebody would correct something that was a blatant misspelling. That's what friends are for, right? And I was like, have a good weekend, blah, 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 whatever. And so we started having this text conversation back and forth. And in that text conversation, he made a very derogatory comment about himself. And it just like stabbed me in the heart to think that he felt that way about himself. And I was driving when this was all going on. Yes, I was texting and driving, or talking and texting. I don't know, whatever. Talk to text. And I literally pulled over to the side of the road, and I typed back a message of like, I do not ever want to hear you say blah, blah, blah about yourself again, whether you're joking or not. That is not even remotely funny. I mean, I don't even know, offended or hurt or shocked, or does he really think about that? Or was he baiting me? Was he trying to get a rise out of me and see what I really thought about him? I don't know what his intentions were for saying that, but for whatever, I fired back on that one because I started thinking that perhaps I might have something to do with that. Anyway, by the way, back to Nipsey HUSSLE. I did get confirmation from that on my Divine Masculine's Instagram page. He had a little music clip of Nipsey singing, so there was my confirmation right there. And Nipsey HUSSLE was a picky eater. I was able to confirm that. So I was able to confirm that whole conversation with Nipsey, and I ended up telling my Divine Masculine about that meditation and being divinely divinely guided to his social media, that I don't stalk him on a regular basis, because I do not. And apparently Nipsey HUSSLE was his favorite artist before he passed away. So fast forward. Okay, so that all happened on Friday. Us going back and forth and kind of a friendly conversation, one of the first friendly conversations that we've had in a while. And I could not stop thinking about that derogatory comment that he had made to himself. And I need to check and make sure the videos, that's my big fear in the world, is that I'll just be talking and nobody will be listening. So I I finally decided on Sunday. Of course, we had that Scorpio full moon last weekend, and I was like, I can't handle this torture anymore of knowing things that I have not shared with him. And so I finally just laid it all out as far as how I said, I want you to know that, I was in a lot of pain at one time and I thought you were the source. I know that is different now, and I'm sorry for things that I said intentionally or unintentionally. And I thanked him for helping make me who I am now, because if it hadn't have been for him, I wouldn't have worked on all of my core wounds. And also told him about going into meditation with him and him walking me through many meditations on 5D and blah, 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 blah. And I said, I just want you to know that I really thank you for helping making me a better person and helping make a difference in my life. Because I had to get that off of my chest, especially after that very derogatory comment that he made about himself the day before. I was like, if there is something that I can say to help release him from those feelings, I was going to do that. So I sent that off with no expectations, more to get that off my chest than anything. And he was shocked and said thanks. And at the end of it, he was like, I really appreciate that. You are a true friend. And I said, thanks, I appreciate that. And so I'm like, shit, I don't want to be crying because I've got readings to do after this and I don't want my makeup to be all smeared. So the next day I spent crying all day on Sunday, releasing all of that stuff. And the stuff that I was releasing felt like I had, I can't even explain it. It felt like I had let him go, that I had said goodbye to him, that I had released him to go about his business in his world. And I had to deal with that. And so I dealt with that, and I kept thinking, this will go away, this will go away, this will go away. And all week long, I just had this I just kept crying off and on all week, and I couldn't make that go away. And every time I'm thinking, okay, this will go away. I'm just going to feel the pain and feel through this and make it stop. It'll stop eventually. I knew it would stop eventually. But it didn't. And so and I'm pretty good at tapping in on myself. What's this feeling? Where's this coming from? And I hadn't figured it out until I was on a walk yesterday. And so this is what ensued yesterday. I was on my walk, and I walked all week, so it wasn't like I was depressed and laying in bed all week. My inspiration wasn't there, and I was just unmotivated to do any videos or even talk about it really. And so I go on this walk and realize that his words, "You are a true friend," was what the trigger was. That word friend. That's the second time he's told me he wanted to be my friend. So then I start thinking about all the other times. See, I thought I was going to be able to get through this without crying, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. So then I started thinking about all the times in the past where I had feelings for somebody. And all they wanted to be was my friend and nothing more. And it actually started with Tim George in fifth grade. Fifth grade was between fourth and fifth grade. Fourth grade, I was popular with him. And the summer between fourth and fifth grade, sorry, I'm going to try to get through this. Between fourth and fifth grade was when I gained weight, I got glasses, and I got short hair, cut my hair all cut off, and that was when my self-esteem went south big time. And So he was the first boy that rejected me. I thought it was for my weight. And then there was, a guy in high school that I liked that I was completely invisible to. And then there was a couple of guys at work that I had feelings for that did not have feelings for me. And so I started thinking about all the times in the past that I had been put in the friend zone. And that's what I got triggered on, was that word friend, which is kind of funny because I'm sure to him saying that I am a true friend was a compliment and very meaningful for him to include me in on his circle of friends. But the story I was telling myself was something completely different. So I came home from my walk, kind of finally like, oh, thank God, I think I finally figured out what this fucking darkness was, and this soul-sucking whatever shit that I was going through all last week that had me like half functioning. So I come home and I take a shower and I'm like getting, putting my lotion on or whatever. And I can hear him saying in my head, he goes, maybe we need to go do a meditation and work on this, this deep, deep wound that is inside of me. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We probably do. So this was my own meditation, and hopefully this can help somebody if they have any of that dark, dark, dark stuff that is still haunting them. I suppose it's self-worth stuff that seems to be the one thing that just stays. I think I can deduce almost every issue anybody has with self-worth issues. I think we all come into this world feeling okay, and then something happens and we lose that self-worth and that spark. So I went up into meditation and I kind of envisioned myself dividing myself from my body into my soul. And basically I went up and I erased this little dark piece of shit, whatever blackness was on my soul, where the rest of it was white and sparkly, and there was this like black spot, and I erased it and I could still see it. And then I got kills out, painted over the top of it. I'm like, yeah, and then I bleached it, I'm visualizing all of this stuff, and I erase it, and then I put kills on it, and then I bleach it, and I'm doing everything I can to get this like black spot off of my soul. And by the time I got done with that, I felt like my soul was pretty sparkly and clean, and I think I can open my eyes now because this is almost the end of the story. With my big black eyes under here. Oh God, I should learn not to put makeup on before I do one of these videos. So anyway, that was my own little cleansing meditation. And I did feel better, and I thought I was going to be able to get through this video today without crying, but I don't know if it's that there's still stuff in there or if it's just very emotional talking about that whole thing. But it had me down for a week because it started on Sunday, and it was just like I felt like I had been sidelined. It was like I couldn't, I wasn't even meditating as much because it just was, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. So anyway, that's where I was at for the last week, was healing, purging, hoping to God that I have gotten rid of that last little bit of shit that needed to go. Releasing him and whatever he needs to do to go about his journey. And so I'm open to comments. If anybody has anything they want to say, I would look forward to hearing that. I am also thinking about going live sometime soon. That's kind of my next, now that, I mean, I've been wanting to go live for a couple of weeks, but once I got hit with this, I don't know, I got taken offline, went under for maintenance. I don't even know how to describe what that all was, other than it was something that had to happen. And I just had to go with the process and let it happen and not beat myself up. And so my next goal is to go live on here. And that's what I want to know is, like, if I go live, is there something specific you guys want me to talk about? Do you want me to do cards? You know, a lot of people do, like, for a $10 donation, you can ask me one question, or is there something specific that you want me to talk about or do? I would love to hear about that. I want to start off small until I get brave and can do it more. But I guess that's maybe what my next goal is. So anyway, I'm open to comments, critiques, criticisms, constructive criticism. And I missed you guys too. Nikki, I did want to call you this weekend, but every time I got ready to pick up the phone, I could just feel the tears coming out, and I knew I wasn't ready to talk about it. Not that it would have bothered me to cry on the phone with you, but I just was like, I knew I wasn't over it, and I needed to heal that aspect before I was able to move forward. So I will see you all in the June horoscopes. I'm going to work on some of those today, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.